Okay, so you're curious about Warren Buffett, right? I get it. Turning a childhood love of numbers into a financial empire. The guy's a legend.
A legend.
And you want to explore his story through Alice Schroeder's The Snowball.
Right.
Smart move. Skipping straight to the good stuff.
Yeah.
Get this. Buffett's first business venture. Delivering the Washington Post.
Oh, wow.
Talk about foreshadowing. Years later, he's deeply involved with the company.
It's almost eerie, right? Like this recurring theme in Buffett's life. Those early experiences often foreshadow his future success. Even as a kid, this wasn't just some paper route. He was already analyzing routes, maximizing profits.
Right.
The signs were there.
This wasn't your average paper boy. We're talking selling used golf balls, pinball machines in a barbershop. The entrepreneurial spirit was strong. There's even a story about him and a friend setting up a pinball operation only to get shut down, Schroeder says, by the police.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Those early ventures, even the one that got him in a little hot water, were like mini lessons in identifying what he'd later call intrinsic value.
Okay.
Think about it. Used golf balls, pinball. He was buying assets cheap, selling for a profit, the essence of his investment strategy even then.
It's wild to think those childhood hustles were like early training for Wall Street. And, of course, no deep dive into Buffett's psyche is complete without mentioning his mother, Layla. Schroeder really digs into the complexities of their relationship.
Layla was a driving force in his life. A brilliant, strong woman who instilled in him a powerful work ethic and a fascination with numbers. But she was also known for her emotional volatility, which definitely shaped young Warren. It's this fascinating push and pull that played out throughout his life.
It seems like that relationship, with all its complexities, really influenced the trajectory of his life, both personally and professionally.
Absolutely. And speaking of trajectory, let's move on to Buffett's college years. This future titan, the Oracle of Omaha himself, almost failed a public speaking course.
Wow.
Makes you feel a bit better about your own fear of presentations, right?
It's such a humanizing detail, isn't it? This financial giant terrified of public speaking.
Yeah.
But you're right, it does make you feel less alone. But here's where things get really interesting. The same time, he's at Columbia soaking up knowledge from the one and only Ben Graham. Schroeder mentions Security Analysis and The Intelligent Investor as almost sacred texts for Buffett during these years.
Yeah. Those books were like Buffett's investment Bible.
Yeah.
Graham's concept of intrinsic value, figuring out what a company is truly worth beyond the hype. It became fundamental to Buffett's approach. And it's something, by the way, that you can apply to your own investing, too.
So not just blindly following the market, but really understanding the value of what you're buying.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Even though he revered Graham, Buffett wasn't afraid to disagree with him. For instance, Graham mostly stuck to buying cheap stocks, real bargain basement stuff. But Buffett, he took that principle and looked for companies with a durable competitive advantage. Businesses so strong they could dictate their own terms.
So taking the core principle but adapting it. Finding his own unique approach. And talk about being proactive. There's this great story about Buffett hunting down Walter Schloss, another Graham disciple. Turns up at his office unannounced, just to pick his brain.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine?
That story says so much about Buffett. He was relentless in seeking out knowledge, always willing to learn from the best, and that's another key takeaway for anyone looking to build their own snowball of success. Find mentors, connect with those who share your passions, and never stop learning.
Okay, so we've got Buffett armed with Graham's wisdom, his own independent thinking ready to conquer the world, right? Yeah. But here's where it gets a little strange. His big move, buying a failing textile company, Berkshire Hathaway.
Right.
Why on earth would he do this?
This is classic Buffett.
Yeah.
Everyone else saw a dying industry, but he saw something completely different. Berkshire Hathaway, even on its last legs, had this incredible cash flow. Buffett realized he could use that cash to invest in other businesses, building a diversified portfolio under the Berkshire umbrella.
So it wasn't about the textiles. It was about using Berkshire as a vehicle, a foundation for something much bigger.
Exactly. It was like buying a discounted toolbox. The tools weren't much good, but the box itself, that was valuable. And he filled it with his own tools, building an empire one carefully chosen investment at a time. And you see this play out with his other acquisitions like See's Candies, a seemingly odd choice that turned out to be a cash cow.
It's fascinating how these seemingly counterintuitive moves often turned out to be brilliant investments. But, and this is where it gets really juicy, remember that complicated relationship with his mother we talked about?
Right.
Well, as Berkshire grows, Buffett's personal life particularly his first marriage, becomes increasingly intertwined with his business decisions.
Schroeder really digs into this, doesn't she? And it adds a whole new dimension to understanding Buffett. His first wife, Susie, was an incredible woman, incredibly supportive, but also fiercely independent. She saw his potential, but she also saw how consumed he was by work.
It sounds like she played a much bigger role than just the wife.
Absolutely. She was his confidant, his rock. But there's also this sense of her struggling to find her own space within his ever-expanding world. And this is where another key player enters the scene, Astrid Manx.
The woman who would later become his second wife.
Exactly. Now, Astrid often gets painted as this more traditional figure, but Schroeder reveals a more complex picture. This was a woman who ran her own restaurant, had her own ambitions. She brought a different kind of energy into Buffett's life.
So we've got Buffett, this financial titan, but also a man navigating a complicated personal life. And then just as Berkshire is hitting its stride, he gets pulled into the Salomon Brothers scandal.
Oh, boy.
Talk about a curveball. It's like something out of a movie, right? You've got Buffett, this guy known for his integrity, and suddenly he's facing down Congress.
Yeah.
With this massive insider trading scandal swirling around him.
Right.
It's fascinating how he handles it.
It really is. This is where Buffett's character really shines through. He could have easily distanced himself from the whole mess.
Right.
But instead, what does he do? He takes the reins at Salomon, testifies before Congress.
Wow.
Steers the company clear of disaster. Schroeder really captures the drama of it all.
Wow.
The weight of his reputation on the line.
And remember, we talked about his fear of public speaking.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine facing down a room full of skeptical politicians,
Yeah.
cameras in your face,
Right.
the future of this company hanging in the balance.
It's incredible. It really speaks to his sense of responsibility, his willingness to confront his own fears when the stakes are high.
Absolutely.
And you see him using his reputation almost like a tool to restore confidence.
It's like this whole other side of being a successful investor, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about the numbers.
Yeah.
It's about leadership, ethics,
Yeah.
navigating these incredibly complex situations.
Exactly. And you see these qualities emerge even more, I think, as he starts to shift his focus a bit more towards philanthropy.
Okay.
This isn't just about writing checks.
Right.
Buffett partners with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation,
Huge.
going for maximum impact, tackling global health, poverty.
It's that long-term thinking again, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Not just short-term gains, but addressing these really systemic issues.
Yeah. It's about making a real difference.
And yet, even with this huge focus on giving back,
Yeah.
he stays true to his investment philosophy, right?
He does.
I mean, this is the guy who famously refused to invest in the dot-com bubble.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of thought he lost his touch, you know?
Right.
But he stuck to his guns, famously saying, never invest in a business you can't understand.
That's Buffett in a nutshell. Never strays from his circle of competence.
Right.
Never gets caught up in the hype. And think about it, how many people got burned by chasing those tech stocks?
So many.
Buffett's discipline,
Yeah.
his ability to just ignore the noise, it's a powerful lesson.
It really is. It makes you question all those, get-rich-quick schemes. Stick to what, understand the value of what you're investing in.
Right.
It's great advice. So we've got this picture of Buffett, right? The shrewd investor, the reluctant leader, the philanthropist.
He's got many facets.
He does. What will his lasting legacy be? What happens to Berkshire Hathaway without him at the helm?
That is the million-dollar question. Can anyone replicate that unique combination of skill, discipline, and temperament?
Yeah.
Schroeder hints at his succession plans, the steps he's taken to try to ensure Berkshire's future. But ultimately, only time will tell.
It's almost like the end of an era. You can't imagine Berkshire without Buffett.
No.
But the Snowball, it gives us this incredible glimpse into the human side of this financial titan.
It does.
We see his complexities, his vulnerabilities, the personal sacrifices alongside all those triumphs.
It's a really well-rounded portrait.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a good reminder that success is multifaceted.
Absolutely.
It's not just about the bottom line.
No.
It's about the relationships we build, the impact we have, the legacy we leave behind,
Yeah. And I think that's something for all of us to ponder, not just in the world of finance,
Right.
but in our own lives,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What will our snowball roll into?
That's an incredible thought to end on. This deep dive has given us so much to think about, from Buffett's investment strategies to the man behind the myth.
I agree.
If you're looking for more, and I know you are, pick up the Snowball yourself.
You won't regret it.
It's a fascinating read.
It really is. And as you delve deeper into Buffett's world, ask yourself this.
Okay.
Was the price of becoming Buffett higher than we often perceive?
Ooh, good question.